morning and welcome. My name's Leanne McKee. I'm Director of Communications here at Green School Bali, and I'm very excited to be welcoming you here this morning, or it could be this evening, wherever you are in the world. But we're here this morning at Green School Bali in our Jungle campus, and we have got a great lineup for you this morning. So let me share with you what you can expect over the next 90 minutes or so. This morning we've got some special guests. We've got a Green School parent who is going to be sharing more with you all about the Green School experience. So whether you have an application and process with us, whether this is your first time engaging with us, this is the right place to be this morning to learn all about Green School and see if it's the right school for your family. We know this is a very, very important decision, and coming to Bali is also a very, very big process, especially during these difficult circumstances, but we're really excited that we have welcomed a new cohort of families joining us here just last week on our orientation day. So again, my name's Leanne. This is my 8th year at Green School. I have a daughter who's in grade 5, and we just love the school, and again, really excited to share more about the school. So also what's coming up over the next 90 minutes, you'll be receiving some content that's never been seen before, all about our school that will help make your decision about whether Green School is the right fit for you. You'll also be meeting a parent who has been a pioneer parent. So he's been here right since the beginning, since we opened in 2008. His name's Zabiskie, and we're very happy to have him on our bamboo sofa together with our leadership team. But just for a second, I wanted to say a few things about how you can get the most out of this virtual open day experience. So we see you all in Zoom, and I'm so excited to see that so many people have got their cameras on. I'd love you to wave, if you just give us a wave, especially if there's some students, potential students out there. Hi, we love the fact that you put your cameras on. Perhaps you have to put it on for privacy, no problem, but this is a really great way for us to get to know you, see you, and when you meet our leadership team, they will be giving you a shout out and saying hello too. So put your cameras on. We will keep you on mute, so that's another thing. But we are here to take your questions. So if you've got any questions at all over the next 90 minutes, please put it in the chat. Put it in the Zoom chat, and our team are here to scoop up those questions and help answer them for you. So that's the second way to get the best out of this virtual open day experience. Any questions? So we look forward to that. The next thing I just wanted to share with you is look at this incredible campus where we are right now. I'm standing in the heart of school. It's a beautiful day. It was raining here yesterday in Bali. I don't know wherever you are in the world, but we had beautiful, rainy, cold weather here yesterday. Today is gorgeous. And just have a look where we are right now. This is our heart of school, one of the epic bamboo buildings here at Green School Bali. And what's super special about this is a number of things. Our middle school are here. In fact, our middle school class just went to one of their homeroom sessions a minute ago, so it was very chaotic here. But what's super special about this building in particular is at the top, the roof, the aerial shot of our heart of school is actually our Green School Bali logo, the Green School logo, and it's got 3 elements. And those 3 elements are all part of the Green School magic, and that's what you're going to hear more about today. The first pillar is our learning program, our purposeful learning program, and that is the magic of Green School, our teachers, the Green School way, the magic, the gooey, organic curriculum that is Green School. And our principal is here this morning, Sal Gordon, to share more about that magic in a few moments. The second part of that pillar is our passionate learning community. Community is at the heart of Green School. We believe that we are a community of learners making our world sustainable. That means that Green School is not just for the children, it's also for the parents. We're all learners. At the heart of the community is our head of community environment, Kate Druhan, and she's here to share more about that. The third pillar is our learning environment, and this is it. And all of that together creates the Green School learning experience and the experience for all families. So I'm really excited to now hand you over to our leadership team who'll be sharing more all about this. So enjoy the experience, and we thank you again for joining us. I'll hand you over to Kate and Sal.
Thanks so much, Leanne.
Thank you.
Good morning to you too.
Thank you.
Beautiful introduction.
Great intro. We're just cut to the question and answer because Leanne's done the most awesome introduction ever.
She's covered a lot.
She's
right
covered a
there.
lot. Yeah,
but great to see everyone today. I know we've said good morning several times. It is morning for us and it's beautiful and fresh, but it might be any time of the day and night for you. So thanks so much for joining us. It is great to see all those faces on Zoom and great to see some children out there too. That's always very, very, very special for us.
Totally awesome.
Very awesome. So as Leanne said, please get your fingers working and put some questions in the chat. We love seeing those come through and we're going to get to those a little later in the session. It's our favourite part of the conversation.
The hot seat.
The hot seat, getting on the hot seat.
Yeah.
And this is all about having an open and authentic conversation with families that are interested in Green School. So we want to share what we're about and what's going on here and to take your specific questions as well. So joining us, so I'm Kate and he is?
I'm Sal.
And he's Sal.
Yeah. I'm the head of teaching and learning.
Yes, head of teaching and learning, the principal.
The principal. A little bit about me, is that okay? Can I give a live rap?
Let me just do it. I'm gonna throw to you in just a second, but just to share with people the lineup. So we have Sal here, our most senior educator at Green School, who's been here a long time and will share a little about himself and his backstory. We also have Walker Zabiskie, who is a great friend of mine actually, but also a pioneer parent, as Leanne said. So he's been at the Green School since the beginning and so has had experience with all our different programs, right through the school and over many, many years. And I know you are absolutely going to enjoy hearing from Walker. He is very entertaining and insightful and will tell it how it is as well, which is just wonderful. So we look forward to having him. And as Leanne said, I'm Kate Druhan, Head of Environment and Community at Green School. And I also have been a parent at Green School for many, many years, over a decade. So my two oldest children have graduated and my baby, who started in the early years program, is now in grade 10, which is shocking and beautiful in equal measure. So we've got some music kicking off in the background there. I don't know if you're getting that, but all part of the fun. Yeah. So Sal, let's hear a little bit about you, if you can share with our friends out there.
A little bit about me. I love the music. Yes. I've got this campaign going that I believe that every music classroom in a school, their doors should be open. I love hearing the music here.
Well, we don't have any doors, so that's,
no doors
that's
here, no walls. I am an Australian originally, but have been in Bali and at Green School Bali for 9 years. I have taught through the middle school and high school programs. I have been head of middle school for a while, and this is my 3rd year as principal here. But they do call me the peaceful pirate principal. So I'm a principal with a difference at a different school. This is my 3rd year here. I'm also am a parent here as well, so this place is very special to me as a parent and as an educator. Over the space of 13 years, we've had the awesome opportunity to create a new model of what a school is and how it functions in a community, the impact it can have, even what a school looks like, and the community that is central to that learning environment. Such a special place. It's probably better that I give like a live update because we'll talk generalities and I think with question and answers we'll be able to get into some specifics. But right now on campus, I know that our youngest learners have had a little bit of a jalan, a walking experience around the campus, possibly fed some ducks or the rabbits, visited the pigs or something on their way to classroom, which they start really with the nature immersion, or their whole early years programs in nature immersion. I know right now the primary school team are getting ready for one of their epic weekly assemblies where they learn and share and celebrate together. We'll hear music. I think that's where we're hearing the music from. Our middle school crew have all just started on their Jalan experiential new units that they start with our 3rd day in to our 2nd semester. So I know our students are off and about around campus in the community in our bio buses. Our grade 8 students who we just had to sort of move from this area start their Quest projects today, which are student-led projects that impact their world and they activate their learning. Our high school students I know are around from the oceans to the mountains today and in the rice fields and some in our innovation hub starting their project-based learning as well. Right now it's all happening and it's live, and so rather than saying we do this and we're doing this right now, and it's always really exciting to be in the virtual open days to talk about Green School from the big picture to the little picture. And I hope you have a great time today with us this morning. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sal. And I know you're probably hearing terms like Jalan and Quest, and there's a lot even just packed in what Sal has said right there.
The educator translator is next to me. Yeah,
I'll do the translation, but I know Leanne and the team will be there on the chat and putting some links in. So if you want to dive in and understand what some of those things are, there are a lot of resources on our website for a start, and on our other sort of social media platforms too that you can dig into to discover a little bit more about that. But it's a great day. I love Wednesdays. It's one of our favourite days because we do have assemblies in primary school, which are beautiful, and we will probably hear that, which is part of the sense of community that we have. But Sal, I'm sure everybody out there in the world is interested to know, in these kind of pandemic times, how the school is actually operating at this time.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in the massive space that we have on campus. Jungle, across two sides of the river actually now. Slightly lower student numbers. We're very fortunate and have been for the last really 18 months to be able to open nearly almost full-time online on-site in-person learning. So yeah, our school is not back to normal yet. We're operating under some COVID protocols in terms of how we move and interact amongst the community. We're bringing back a lot of the Green School magic that we've had to sort of put on pause during the pandemic. If anything, to be honest, going from a school of 530 or 40 and then always looking to grow, and then us scaling back now, it's been quite an amazing opportunity for us to see what's really special, what we want to hold on to, and to actually see the values in our community helping us get through a challenging time. This school is never normal, so I can't say back to normal. We're going forward to not normal. Which is what the world needs. We know that the world's forever fast changing, societal, environmental, technological challenges. We know the world is changing so fast, and therefore we believe that education needs to change fast too. And that's what's happening here.
Yeah, that's great. And I know Walker has a lot of views on this as well, as someone very well read and interested in what's going on in the globe, across the globe, in work, in innovation and in education. And I think it's going to be really interesting to hear from him on some of those thoughts as well.
And that's really important in a session like today, where some people have come to think about, what is this school about? What are the learning experiences in this school? We want to sort of open that up a little bit, because you're not just coming to a place to send your kids to a school. You're coming to a place to join a community and to join something that's really special in education, special in our community. And I believe, can be really special in a global sense, and in how we're transforming education. And just don't get me started about why we need to transform education, but we're doing it here. And so when you're thinking about Green School, when you're thinking about, is this the right place for me? Think about, is this the right community for me? And is this education model the right concept for you too?
Yeah, that's great. Look forward to getting you and Walker into conversation on that. And I know both of you like to chat, so I'm going to have to stay.
I'll just sit quietly and listen to Walker. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure everybody wants to hear from both of you. So we are going to get into that conversation and answer your questions very soon. So please do get into that chat and pop your questions in there now. We often find that as we get to wrapping up these sessions, a million questions start coming in. So get those going quickly so we can answer as many as we can. And while you're doing that, we are going to throw to a little video package that we've put together for you now, which will give you some insights into the campus. So Sal and I had a lot of fun putting a little video together to show you some of this amazing campus, which actually you really can't get the full effect of unless you're here, but we have tried. So please enjoy that. You'll also hear from some parents that are new to the Green School community on their experience, and some information on visa and travel from our expert in the community that's supporting our incoming families on that. And you'll get to meet some members of the community centre team, which includes Leanne and our admissions team and so on, who are all here to support families through the enrolment process and the onboarding process as well. So we are going to be right here when we come back from those videos, ready for your questions, with Walker joining us on the bamboo settee. So please enjoy this video package, and we will see you very soon.
See you soon. Hi, I've made my way to the third floor of the heart of school. The heart of school is our middle school learning neighbourhood. I'm in a typical bamboo Green School classroom, because you can see there is no walls. All of our classrooms are surrounded by gardens which our students play and learn in. We also have an amazing, beautiful river that's running really loud just down the hill, our solar farms, the iHub, the music centres, art centres, everything here is amazing and provides probably that structural, that physical campus that we know that at Green School Bali helps us bring a learning program to life. Our students are provided the opportunities to not just learn about nature, but learn in nature. We have 4 learning neighbourhoods. Our youngest learners, the early years, up to kindergarten. Primary school, from grades 1 to 5. Middle school, grades 6, 7 and 8. And high school, grades 9 to 12. At Green School, our learning is for now, not for later. It needs to be fun, but it needs to be meaningful. And that looks different in each learning neighbourhood. Our early years program is nature and play-based. Yes, students start to develop literacy and numeracy skills. But it's more important for our youngest learners to develop a connection with nature and a connection with their peers and a connection with their learning. In primary school, our students begin to learn who they are. They discover themselves, and our learning program allows that to happen. It makes that happen. And big projects, little projects, projects in the garden. Also strong thematics program connected to nature and sustainability. In middle school learning can become a little bit messy. Our middle school program is set up to allow students to elect certain parts of their learning program. So they have strong literacy and maths classes. They also have an amazing thematics program based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Our grade 8 students at the end of middle school do a capstone project which is based on their own sustainability passion project. In high school, our students are ready to make an impact in the world. Our program allows students to develop the life skills required and the mindsets needed to take action and to use their learning. High school students do a lot of projects. Their culminating project, their Greenstone, is an amazing year-long learning journey where students choose a sustainability-based project and bring that project to life. We are a community of learners. It's not just a school community, it's about our local community too. We're not just an international school in an international bubble. We are deeply connected to our local community. I'm lucky to have with me today Ibu, how are you?
I'm good, thank you Pak Sal. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi. Ibu Dawi is a parent. Ibu Dawi has been on our board, and Ibu Dawi is an amazing, important member of our school administration team. Are you good today, Ibu?
Yeah, feeling very good.
Talk to us, talk to us about the types of connections that we have with the culture of Bali at Green School Bali.
I feel so grateful becoming a part of this community because the local community here is really engaged and involved with the international community, and this is, I believe, that would be very important for our international community because we can bring everything together, like we connect. If we have something in our local community, we always have a chance to bring that together within our community. And for example, if we have like every 6-month celebration here for honoring Goddess of Knowledge, that's called Saraswati. So we're inviting all the community to come. We have dance, we have gamelan, that every parent and their family can have it here together. So it's amazing.
So we learn and we share and we celebrate together.
That's what we're doing here.
As a global community.
As a global community. And other thing is also really, really interesting for me, so that this is becoming like the biggest reason for me as a parent to send my kids here at Green School. Yes.
Tell us why.
So,
what's about Green School for a local student?
As a Balinese community, we are like once again saying like this is a great opportunity that we have a chance to learn international education with that kind of standard that they can improve themselves. I mean, our local children here, but at the same time, we have a chance to bring our culture also with them. But we learn a lot also from our international community because this is like making a balance.
The learning is definitely two ways.
Yes, yeah. And we have a program if there is no COVID. We have like an after-school activities, we have a dance activities, we have gamelan activities.
So there's 37 local scholars at the school at the moment?
Yes, at the moment.
Yeah.
And
But we also, like you said, when we're allowed to fully open the campus, we invite more than 300 other local students to learn numeracy, literacy, English skills, but also sustainability education.
Of course, and other thing that is very interesting is also because we also still learn kelas budaya. Yes, budaya class and bahasa Indonesia. So we bring that together in thematic, and then even like they put it in thematic and making like a such ogoh-ogoh. Maybe you know that kind of parade that's very famous here in Bali. Yeah, before Nyepi Day.
The big monsters.
Yes, the big monster. But a lot of things is inside there, like the local wisdom is in there. Yes.
That's beautiful. Thanks very much, Yvette.
This is one of my favorite places on the campus. We're right down here by the river. Behind me is the Ayung, the Great Ayung River, and it powers right through our campus. It's a force of nature. It's also a source of energy. Right here down at the river, we have our very own micro-hydro system, the Green School Vortex. And this vortex provides a majority of the power that we use here on the campus, and it forms part of Operation Rain or Shine. So along with our other renewable energy systems, we try and offer a range of different learning opportunities for our children to see all the different ways Mother Nature can help power our campus, our community, and the world. Clean, renewable, and reliable energy. I'm here on the top floor of the heart of school, and this is home base for our middle schoolers. And you can see behind me here some of our renewable energy technologies. We really love the idea at Green School that the whole campus is a classroom, the whole campus is a laboratory, and that we can innovate and we can find solutions to real problems right here on the campus. This solar system here is part of Operation Rain or Shine, which was a high school-led initiative that's ongoing, looking at understanding and implementing different types of clean, reliable, renewable energy right here on our campus. Everyone in our community has a part to play in making our world sustainable, starting right here on the campus. We have in our main car park our waste recycling centre, so all families can bring their recyclables there, sorted, to be responsibly moved on to recyclers on the island. But the very best of that trash we keep right here on the campus, because this is a resource for learning. So in this area here in our Community Innovation Hub is Kambali. And in Kambali we have resources here that can be used. So some of these products can be used raw for projects here on the campus that the students are involved in. But we also have some really cool equipment in here. So we can take certain types of plastics and they can be processed into filament like this, that can be further processed into a form that we can put into molds. So you can literally bring in some plastic trash and leave with a plate or a fork or a bowl or something useful. We've even had kids make recycled surfboard fins, which are really expensive here. So very cool product, limited only to the imagination. Here we are at the Human Resources Centre, otherwise known as the toilets. This is one example of our composting toilet system that we have at Green School. Composting toilets don't need to be nasty. We have a fantastic odourless, waterless, chemical-free system that takes human waste and turns it into organic matter that can go back into the earth in a really safe way. These toilets are really beautiful. Our parents helped design these structures. So they're super friendly, they're actually a work of art and really inviting, even for the tiniest of people. That's our take on composting toilets at Green School. Just pulling up in the garage, friends. We ride in style and sustainably at Green School. Our biobus transport service normally operates 5 days a week, taking our children to school and back home again in the afternoons. Our biobuses run on used cooking oil, which the students are involved in collecting from hotels and restaurants around Bali. So it helps them dispose of used cooking oil in a responsible way, and it powers our buses.
I'm not actually allowed to drive the biobus, but I am allowed to use this. So for any families who don't ride the biobus and have a diesel vehicle, they can fill their car up right here on the campus at the biodiesel pump station. As well as the biodiesel bus service and the pump station in the car park to fill up your diesel vehicle, we also have electric charge stations here on the campus. So electric motorbikes are a growing option for transport around Bali, and you can plug in right here. We're entering primary school, and in primary school every class has their own set of gardens that they work with. In the upper school the students work with more cooperative gardens and working with permaculture principles to grow things that are beautiful but also that are edible and medicinal. And right here in primary at a grade 1 classroom, we can see in the garden here we've got corn, we've got papaya, we've got bananas, we've got flowers bringing the bees and the butterflies, and of course always so quintessentially Bali, the lemongrass. Our campus is wild. It's intentionally rugged. We design it this way. This is great for kids, gross motor skills, but also their cognitive development. So everything is designed by intention, but we work with what is already here. On my left here, you can see these beautiful springs. This is where we hold special ceremonies during the year. It's quite a sacred place on the campus. It's really calm and very peaceful. On my right, in contrast, this pit of mud comes to life because this is the Green School mud pit. It's a really popular place on the campus. So yes, our children get in here. It's like baby elephants on a hot day, cooling down in the mud and the water. Also, while I'm here, over there is Grasshopper Grove. This was named by our early years students because this is a great place to go if you want to find grasshoppers, dragonflies and butterflies. No two buildings on the Green School campus are the same. Every single one of them is unique. Every single one of them is also a work of art. We're here in the Green School Yoga Studio. This beautiful space comes to life when the children come in here for yoga sessions. Nothing is more beautiful than stopping in here and watching the 3-year-olds take yoga. It is pure joy. It's a beautiful space. I can hear the river behind me here. There's a gentle breeze coming through here. It's a very, very serene and special place on our campus. When we think about well-being at Green School, we think about the whole person, the social, the emotional, and of course the physical, and not just the individual child or the individual community member, but the whole community. This behind me is the Arc. This is our community centre and our sports centre. So what goes on in here? This is a place that we gather that holds us for recreation, for presentations, and for celebrations. This is the Arc. I'm here at the bridge, and this is Green School for grown-ups. Talks, courses, workshops, socialising, outings in Bali all come through the bridge. Right behind me here is our parent co-working space, but it's really much more than that. It's co-working, it's co-learning, it's co-creating, communicating, connecting, and building friendships. We really love the idea that Green School is not just for the children, it is for the grown-ups too. So being a community is very much an important piece of the Green School experience, right from the very beginning of the school, right through to today, even in the current situation. And I'm really happy to be here this morning in the bridge, which is the Green School co-working space, with my friend Sanjana, who is a new parent to Green School, just joined us this school year, and super nice to have a little chat with you, Sanjana.
Thrilled to be here. I'm so happy to finally be a part of the bridge and the Green School community.
So in coming here as a new parent and connecting with the community, the parent community first and foremost, you know, that's something we always hope and wish our parents experience when they're new here. And what's your experience been of that?
You know, before we actually moved to Green School to Bali, we came in to spend a couple of days to see how the community works last year. And I have to say that for 1 year, we've been talking about not our son joining the school, but us as a family getting involved with Green School. Now that I'm finally here, everything that we talked about for the last year is actually coming true.
Yeah, well, that's great, and it's reassuring to hear that. That's what we hope for our families, that they do feel connected and do feel part of a community and a movement, really. And we don't just hope for it, I guess. We try our best to sort of nurture that and nourish that in many different ways. Right here on the campus, we are opening up some parent programs, some outings for parents in Bali, called Truly Bali, to help our parents that have come from abroad to really connect more deeply with Bali and the experience there, as well as some events virtually and in person that we're running around really our parents sharing with other parents,
Right.
their know-how, their story, their background, their skills and so on. And then taking that further to then connect our parents to our students. So one of the things we do is try and facilitate mentorships from our parent community to particularly our grade 12 students, but also our grade 8 students on their capstone projects. And
Right.
that is just beautiful to watch that happen. And I think it's all part of the idea of walllessness, that walllessness is not just the physical way we arrange our campus and build our classrooms, but also the way we think about ourselves as a community, that it's not teachers in one group and students and parents are over here and that there's some sort of separation, but how can we find ways that work for everyone to create those connections? You know, the biggest sort of community of parents are really a hive of information and knowledge. Is that something you've been tapping into?
All the time. There's no question that's ridiculous to ask within that circle of trust. I can ask people where I can get the best mozzarella, to what do I need to do with bats, what do I need to do with bug sprays, and every aspect of life that I can think about, whether it's medical to whether it's more superficial, I want my comfort food, what do I need to do to get that? Mm-hmm. It's all addressed, and there are people there who have answers. 11 in the night, you ask a question, 2 minutes later you get an answer. It's phenomenal. I can't believe that there is this circle of trust and there's so much conversation that's happening.
I'm here every day and you sometimes forget how incredibly beautiful and original this campus is. And I'd love to ask you about your first impressions, the first time you physically set foot on the campus here.
I'd love to talk about how my son reacted to it. I have a 5-year-old and we spent a day here at Green School. And at some point, 3 hours into spending that day, he turned around and he said, "Okay, but where's school?" And I said, "We are in school." He said, "No, but where's school? The place where I'm supposed to study." And, it took us 10 minutes to explain to him that this was his school, that he was going to be studying with cows and chickens and, the vortex and the river, the bridge. That was his school.
Out of the mouths of babes. Yeah. But where is school? He was looking for the box.
He was looking for the classroom.
Yes.
He was looking for the box. He
Yes.
was looking for
Yes.
the place where he could go in.
Yeah.
The idea that there would be a teacher with a blackboard, there would be little desks, even, little desks because he's tiny.
Yeah.
But he was looking for that and he just couldn't find that.
I love that. And how about settling into school? How's that process been for him?
Day 1, he didn't want to go in. Day 2, he didn't want to go in. Day 3, he complained because it was online school. He wanted to go back to campus. Day 4 onwards, I haven't heard, a single complaint. He's up at 6 a.m., which is, phenomenal for me. Getting ready to go to school and play with his friends.
It's fantastic talking with you this morning, Sanjana.
Thank you. It's anything I could do to talk about this. I'm thrilled to be here.
Should we go and have a cup of coffee?
Sure, absolutely.
Hello everyone, I'm Carol, the director of the Community Learning Center and also the head of the Bridge, the Green School for Grown-ups, the space here at Green School that is dedicated to you. It's our co-learning and co-working space. And today I have here Alex, a parent that has been here with us for a year and he's here to talk to us about his experience here at Green School. Thank you, Alex, for being here today and for taking the time to be here. Okay, the first thing that I want to ask you, Alex, is how did you find out about Green School?
So when we were expecting our son, Ryan, my wife and I, avid TED Talk watchers, stumbled across a presentation by some Green School students here who had petitioned to ban plastic bags from Bali. And from there, we tracked down a few other TED Talks on Green School, which made us really look into it. And we really like Green School. From before our child was born. We actually traveled to Bali while my wife was pregnant with Ryan and did the side visit there. On the side visit, they asked us, oh, yeah, how old is your child? Our response was -4 months. And so we always, in the back of our minds, had the idea that we wanted to put our child here. And a year ago, everything came together and allowed us the opportunity to move to Bali to do that.
Yeah, that's so nice. I also came here pregnant
Really?
of Louisa, but I didn't left. I actually came here, like, should I stay, should I go? And then I was like, okay, I'm staying.
Yeah.
And she was born here, and here she is.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you finally came here after, you know, all these years
Yeah.
that he was in the age to be accepted, what were the first impressions from you when you arrived here on campus?
I think what was interesting for us was to see the teaching philosophy in practice. Our child was 4 at that stage. You can really highlight it or compare it to the, I guess, more traditional way of schooling, which is, you know, sit down at a desk, this is what you learn, you know, write the letters, and that's not what you get here, right? Our children, you know, in the class were playing in the mud, were learning letters through naming things around them. And I mean, they were learning, but they were learning through play. And I think if your exposure has been to a traditional education system, in the beginning, you kind of wonder, like, is my child learning anything? And then, you know, and then you see they are actually taking in the information. Their involvement in cultural activities, their involvement in agriculture, and in cooking their own food, but then also going to a farm and seeing where the food comes from. And that is the type of this holistic education that we really wanted for our child.
And what is some of the highlights of your child experience here?
Definitely one of the things he loves the most is the Innovation Hub, iHub. They have a whole makerspace. They've got laser cutters, they have 3D printers, they have table saws, they've got just so much stuff where the kids, you know, can just make things, right? And the exposure of children at, you know, such a young age, because they all go there, from starlings, which would be 4 to 5-year-olds. They're in there making things, I mean, appropriate to their age group, but like, he loves it. And then loves Mud Pit Day, which is great. And you know, the involvement of Green School students in the Balinese culture. I mean, the ceremony days are great, you know, and he loves wearing his traditional Balinese ceremony clothes.
And then talking a little bit about your experience here, can you talk about how was your experience as an adult here in the community?
Your Green School experience is what you make of it, right? If you, again, want to put yourself out there and push for an idea and speak to people and come up with things to do, Green School allows parents the space to do that and fosters it. And so, I mean, coming to like the Bridge, I've met so many people here at the Bridge, and we've chatted, you know, talked about our diverse backgrounds and experiences, and it's it's been eye-opening. And also really like, I mean, so I've kind of managed to involve myself with a project to build a climbing wall here, and
yeah, I know.
and that well, it all kind of started out initially as kind of not a joke, but I mentioned to Ryan's teacher, I'm like, oh, you guys should have a climbing wall on campus, that'd be great. And her response was like, oh yeah, that would be great, that'd be fantastic, you should do that. It completely took me aback. I'm like, I can do that? Yeah. You should absolutely do that. So then I kind of took that away, and I spoke to a few other, you know, teachers to try and gauge whether this response was serious, and I got enough positive responses like, oh yeah, you should absolutely do that. And eventually managed to get to Kate, who, for those of you who don't know her, is the kind of head of environment here in Green School, and her response was like, that's amazing, I like it, you know, go draw a plan. And, you know, it's, you know, managed to get a life of its own, and our plan is, you know, our kind of like plan for the climbing wall is basically done. We found a location. We're currently working towards raising the money for it, although it's, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard, it's not super expensive, and we could have a climbing wall. You know, and I think you'll find that the more you get involved, the more fun you'll have.
For sure. The more you get involved, the more fun you have. And thank you so much, Alex, for being here to spend the time here with us to share your experience. And yeah, I hope you have many, many years here still at Green School that we can see Ryan graduating and we can all be climbing on this wall together,
Absolutely.
you know.
Hope so.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Fabrice. I'm a Green School parent, and my wife and I have one daughter basically at Green School, and she's attending grade 11. I've been here for 12 years, so I've known, and I do know very well, the ins and outs of traveling to Bali, living in Bali, and I'm happy to come here and share some tips with you. And next to that, I do also have a business, a travel business, that is basically helping and assisting people travel, especially through these troubled times. So to come to Indonesia, indeed, you do need a visa, and there's different types of visas. What is very important is that this is a very fluid situation, and that means that between now and when you plan to come in August or later in the year, many things might change, regulations might change. So it's very important that you stay in very close contact with school, so that we can give you the most up-to-date information. Some families have a lot of experience already traveling around the world and sometimes resettling already, being expats, knowing the expat life. And others, it's your first time packing up your stuff and relocating on the other side of the world. And it's a huge decision. But always remember, especially with Green School, you're never alone. You never stand alone. You have a whole community around you. I personally, this is one of the reasons why I'm at Green School. It's this community life all around us, being as one, and that's just the beauty of the thing. Especially, and we've experienced that even more through this COVID time. So what I would recommend is, if you are still where you are and you're making your plans and you're trying to figure out how and what, make use of that community. And that means make sure that if you're a Facebook user, that you use the Green School New Families page, that you join the Green School New Generation page. There's a housing page, there's a travel page. We've got WhatsApp groups for communities and for the community living here. So there's so many resources, and you'll see the moment you ask one question, you're going to have 100 answers to your question. So make use of it. We're here for you, and we look forward to welcoming you.
We are here for you. I'm Kate, and community is at the heart and soul of what we do here at Green School. The Community Centre team and I are the friendly faces who will guide you throughout your journey, answering any and all your questions along the way. From the moment you connect with us to the time you're here with us in the jungle of Bali, you're part of the family. We understand that making the decision to come here is a major one, and it's our job to make it feel as seamless as possible. We're so excited to know that you're considering Green School Bali for your family.
Hi, I'm Leanne, Director of Communications here at Green School Bali and our admissions team. I've been at the school for the last 8 years now, and my daughter is in grade 5. As a parent myself, I understand what it means to pack up your life and embark on this journey to Green School. My job is to connect with families like you, our applicant families, and provide resources and events for you to feel informed and engaged with our community here at Green School Bali throughout the application and onboarding process. Once families like you are here, we help everyone stay up to date with what's going on in our vibrant school and community, so you can feel plugged in as soon as possible. I'm passionate about community and about engagement, and I'm here for you. Now let's meet my colleague in communications and engagement, Tian.
Hello, I'm Tian. I'm all about community and communication. I'm really looking forward to keep you up to date and informed until you get here and beyond.
Hi, I'm Pancha. I'm Admission Manager at Green School Bali. From the moment you click send on the first email, I'm here to help guide you and your family through the step-by-step admission process. I have family with questions on the process, send friendly reminders, and help our leadership team review application. The best part of my role is sending family good news when the application has been successful. That's my favorite thing. My other favorite things is finally welcoming you all in our jungle school on the orientation and start your Bali life and Green School life journey.
We're the Green School Community Centre, and we are here for you. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope that was informative for you. I know you all spent some time getting some questions in there, and my little tablet here, which is feeding the questions to me, is blowing up, which we love. This is what it's all about, is engaging in some dialogue with you. So thanks so much, and keep them coming. We'll get through as many as we can. But before we get to the questions, I want to introduce our guest for today, Walker Zabiskie, a dear friend and an incredibly interesting human, and a pioneer parent at Green School. So I would love to ask you, Walker, to please share with our friends out there a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from and what brought you to Bali and what brought you to Green School.
Thanks, Kate. That's quite the introduction to live up to. Hello, everybody. I'm Walker Zabiskie from the United States, and I've been in Bali previous to the school. Maybe I could just share that my learning journey in life, because everybody, I think, has their own journey that informs how do they think and the decisions they make. And I grew up in the 70s during the energy crisis in a small school, regular school. And I wasn't a great learner. I became rather academic later in life, but I was very hands-on. And I grew up actually making windmills and working on solar projects in an organic farm, because those were hot topics at the time, which all went away and then sort of became real and mainstream later. So with my different ways of learning, then my mother suggested that I take a trip to the South Pacific when I was 17. And that also changed my life, the crazy mom that I had. And that opened up Hong Kong to me, which opened up Southeast Asia later on after university. And so I came to Bali looking for, and Southeast Asia, I chose Bali, looking for a unique place that was beautiful to live in, an interesting culture that I could be entrepreneurial and kind of expand my horizons. I love new things. And magically, John Hardy at the time was opening Green School when my daughter was about 2 years old. And Ubud at the time didn't really have school options. And so we signed up. We were there for those early meetings of John talking about why he wanted a beautiful school in the jungle that was academically flexible, that was sort of around beauty and uplifting of the sort of human condition. And I was like, all in. Sounds just like what I always wanted in life. It reminded me of my upbringing with the organic farms and community, and not as academically focused, but on learning focused, on finding each child's passion and way forward. And so we've been here since the beginning, Kate, and we love it.
It's fantastic. We could actually delve into your whole backstory as a session all on its own. I know you've done lots of interesting things and have developed a very successful business out of Indonesia. You're an entrepreneur. You also have this amazing boutique hotel here, and Bali is your home. You know, you came and never left in some senses.
You know, sometimes you can make one or two decisions in life that work out for you long term. Bali culturally is just an incredible place, and Indonesia. The Balinese people, you know, they're just one of the most fascinating cultures in the world. Their ceremonies, their love for the environment and their island, and their graciousness. And so discovering Bali and then Indonesia is this island of archipelago of 16,000 islands. I still haven't finished exploring Indonesia. So with that background, it turns out I'm very entrepreneurial, I'm creative, I'm a designer, and it's a place that dreams can come true. And so, and then over the years, it's turned out that it's very worldly. People come in from all over the world. I have Japanese friends, European friends, American friends, Australian friends. And so these fascinating characters arrive here. We all mix with the Balinese, and I think it's a very special place to have spent the last 30 years.
Yeah. We're going to dig into the questions, but Walker, we were talking earlier before we went to air, so to speak, you know, just about the diversity in the parent community and how much that enhances the whole experience for the children, for their learning, but for us as a parents too. Just such a beautiful rainbow or kaleidoscope of humans from all corners of the planet that have very different backgrounds potentially, but share some common sense of seeking something different and better for their children in terms of education, and also maybe have this little bit of an adventurous spirit in there as well. And you're a trailblazer because you were here long before the rest of us, but I think that is something we have in common.
No, I totally agree. You know, the interesting part I think about the educational journey and life journey here is, and I think the school speaks to this a lot, there's 3 different communities. It's a community experience. So you're here with the Balinese, which are incredible people to learn from and be with. And then the parent community, you know, by definition, people aren't moving here because they find the job here and then they need to find a place to put their kids to school. They move here for the school. And so the whole family sort of has often an adventuresome, learning, open mindset. And so the parents are kind of like outgoing and entrepreneurial. The kids are open to this new jungle experience. And so that's a really dynamic group of parents who want to be here because they chose to be here. And then the school community, it is a community of all those 3, with obviously the children. And so the school being a community itself, the community of the parents, which is, I think, a little tighter and more interactive than normal because we're all here sharing this experience. And then the community of the Balinese and the Indonesians, those 3 communities coming together is the journey. That's what made it special for me.
Yeah, it's beautiful, Walker. Well, thanks so much for sharing a little bit about yourself and some of your thoughts on education and what drew you to this school. And this session, as Walker said, most of the families that come to Green School come to Bali for the school. So they're moving across the planet for that reason. And that is not lost on us. That's a big deal, a big decision. And we feel a great sense of responsibility to always do our best in what we offer to the students and the families, but also to help support families with that decision-making process. The rain is coming down hard here, folks. I don't know if you're hearing that. We're nice and dry in here, jungle. But yeah, welcome to the jungle. All right, let's dig into some of our questions, and thank you so much.
How's the sound? Because the rain is quite loud. How's the sound still? Great.
We're okay. Awesome. We're getting a thumbs up on the sound.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
It is. It's huge. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this first question, which is from a child, I think, somebody's son, who has asked the question of what does a classroom look like? And Sal, I've got plenty of questions for you, but I might ask Walker if you can describe, well, no 2 classrooms are the same, but give it a shot.
Okay. Well, it is unique. They're open air classrooms. They're all made of bamboo. Some have a sort of a mud type floor. Some have bamboo floors. They're individual, so each classroom, generally speaking, is a separate building, but some are classrooms on top of classrooms. But it's a campus. It's almost like a university campus. It's a big, large, dynamic area that has farming going on, rice paddies, and in amongst all that are the classrooms. So it's a very, very natural experience. There is noise, and sometimes, some days it's hot, some days it's really raining, like today. So it's funny. I was here once with the head of the UN Sustainable Learning or something, and it was raining like this, and we were at lunchtime, and all the kids, the young kids, were out in the little gardens, running around chasing each other with banana leaves and getting wet and rolling around in the mud, and there was so much joy around. And he was like, "This is kind of nuts." He said, "I've never seen such happy kids." But of course, that works for some kids. There is a lot of noise, so. If a child needs a lot of quiet and focus, maybe a more challenging environment. But it's quite neat. It's in the jungle.
It's great, nice answer. And really, the whole campus is a classroom. So yes, we have built learning spaces, as Walker described them. But really, we think of the entire campus, and in fact, for our older students beyond the campus, as a classroom. Sal, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you sum this up, but could you have a go for Maria at defining the education model at Green School?
Oh, wow. Yeah, hi, Maria. Great question. I'll probably just fire away at this. Our pedagogical belief here is that learning should be real. So foundational to every learning experience is the concept of building relationships. Also added to that is that learning happens when you do something, when you action base your learning. Learning also needs to be authentic and connected to the real world, and we like our learning to be local to global. So by changing a pedagogical belief around relationship building, local to global, building relationships is primary to it, then you're actually changing the foundation of a school model. The next step is what we teach and what we learn as a community. We know that information rote learning is a time of the past, and learning, going to a classroom and learning things for a year and then getting assessed in a standardized exam and getting a number at the end of it, we don't think that is real world learning. So we provide opportunities for students within this model to activate their learning now in a way that doesn't actually rely on them having to regurgitate information in an exam. So within that model, we have skill-based learning that is important, values-based learning, which is important, as well as good information-based learning as well. So we have strong academic program within that model as well. So I'm sort of going down the filtered layers here, because we know that good thinkers, change makers of the future, happy people of the future, people that are able to activate their learning and make it different with it, they need to be knowledgeable. There's important literacy skills, numerical skills, there's important scientific understandings that we want them to have. But on top of that, there's no point in knowing this information. Most of it I can get from my schooling on my phone right now. No point to have that information unless that's foundationally backed up by good values and skills. So it's pedagogically different in terms of the model. What we teach and learn is different. How the opportunities we provide our students to activate their learning. Because most of the time, in nearly every school experience I had, the concept of me being assessed or demonstrating my learning was always in a formal assessment that gave me a number. And I don't believe that's relative to the real world right now. So lots of different layers to the different model of schooling. The next layer is, and Walker's spoke about it and we'll always talk about it, is this concept that we're all learning together as a school, and that learning inside a school in a community can make the world a better place. And I actually think at Green School Bali, we believe at Green School Bali that schools should be places that make the world better. Primary function, that's the priority, and that's the purpose of education. You put all that into a Green School campus amongst our Balinese community, and you get quite an amazing but evolving new model of education.
Nice job, Sal.
Yeah.
Nice
It's
summary
complex,
in
it's complex,
less than a
it's
minute.
beautiful, it's not perfect.
Yes.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
We are still creating this new model, and when people join last week through our new families and our orientation, I invite them to join this new model of learning that we are creating together. Yeah. So it's not something that's static or defined and we put it in a box and say that's where we're going, but it's something we're always moving towards. But they're quite foundational and quite different and innovative to standard education and traditional education in that way.
Super. I know there's a lot packed into that, and you can start to pick that apart a little bit if you jump onto the website, and I'm sure Leanne will put some links there where you can dive in and look at, for example, curriculum overviews for the different learning neighbourhoods that we have in the school, where you can start to unpack and unpick that a little bit more and understand what that might look like at different stages of learning.
Because the new model of learning doesn't mean throwing away everything from a standard education.
He's on a roll.
I mean, people often think, and we'll put it out there right now at the start before someone asks the question, yes, we do have a curriculum.
Yes.
It's documented, it's alive, it changes every year, but there are strong threads of sustainability, strong threads of project-based learning, service, skills and values like I've talked before. But we have a strong curriculum. A lot of the academics is based on world's best practice, which are maths, science, literacy, curriculums we like from around the world, but they're integrated and taught in a Green School Bali way that provides opportunities, again, for there to be a purpose, an action-based purpose in their learning.
Kate, could I just add in?
You can add it. I have a question that I think is very relevant to this, which is about high school in particular, which you're familiar with at this stage,
right.
And what a sort of typical day might look like in high school. But please do add some thoughts.
I just want to say that, it might be a big statement. We occasionally talk about it. I don't think we actually want to use it. But, the objective really is to help nurture better human beings. And not... So what I've discovered, at least with my own daughter and some of her friends, and the objective we worked on, I think, for the academic curriculum and for the journey here, is that often the mission of a school is like a bullseye, and the center is the academics, and the outcome is sort of a healthy, happy person. But that's left almost to chance. I think Green School has turned that opposite, and happy, healthy human being is the primary goal. And if you have that, their outcome, they want to learn, they want to do something in the world, they want to know math and English because they need those tools. But if they're not engaged with the world, if they're not happy with their community, if they're not content with their family, if they're not energized in the morning to get up and go learn and participate in the world, if they don't graduate at 18, and you sit with them and you say, wow, that person's switched on, they're passionate, they're learners, they want to make a difference in the world, then the rest of it doesn't really matter too much. So I think that the primary focus is there's a nurturing of values here that make that happen. And then the natural outgrowth is actually shockingly, because some people do wonder, are we academically rigorous enough? Do they learn enough? I'm actually quite surprised how many of our students, then segue back to their schools in Europe or Asia or the United States, and they do academically just fine because they're learners, they're open, they're inquisitive, and they have energy and passion for life.
So nice. So nice. That's beautiful, Walker. Thank you for sharing that, because we know this is not, the school's not for everyone. And we really want parents and the children, particularly if they're older, to really give this some deep thought, ask these kinds of questions, read what you can, watch what you can about Green School, and think about whether that is the right fit and what you want for your children, because there's lots of great schools out there in the world that are offering different types of learning. And some more focused on that, the test score at the end and whatever. And if that's the most important thing, then there's great schools out there. So that's why we have you here to bring this conversation
fortunate
forward.
enough to have these choices to choose schools. There's this, different schools for different children. They have different learning journeys. The parents have different expectations. So it's not even that one school's good and one school's bad. It's just one school's this journey, and we call matches well the student and the family. And so but I think the exciting part is what animated me about Green School is the goal of a dynamic human being going into the world that's happy with their families, happy with their community, excited about life, and everything else will fall in place.
Okay, we need to get back onto our questions, but
high school?
this one is in here, which is, what does a typical day look like for a high schooler? Which might have a crack at that one.
Yeah,
Walker.
and Sal might because I'm not there. And high school is funny. High school is, I think, when the children are younger, they don't mind the adults being around and the parents being on campus. But towards high school, they don't really want to see you so much on campus. and so it becomes a little bit more of a black box. However, I think there's good feedback from Green School students, at least from my daughter, of what her day looks like and what she's involved. And it's a lot of project-based learning. I mean, it gets a little bit more rigorous. I suppose it depends on the student and what their future goal is after Green School. My daughter wants to go to university, so she's taking some AP classes. She's focused on her more classic academic metrics that she needs to meet. But also she has entrepreneurial opportunities to chase after her own projects and also projects that the Green School fosters. So it's just a kind of a melody of different experiences all day long. Sometimes mostly on campus, sometimes off campus. I think the high school campus itself is a little bit more like, I know, Sal, I think you're moving towards like a Google workspace, like flexible. Different places to work. Do you want to work at a desk? Do you want to work on a sofa? We have classroom time. It's more real. It's more like the future they're going to find than a lot of traditional schools.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. I know I've had 3 children in high school too who have graduated, and of course, each child is so unique.
Yeah, totally.
But I think the common thing, we're looking for with our high schoolers, our children that want to come to Green School, that want to be part of that, and will make the most of the flexibility in the program and the support for initiating their own projects and so on, that turn up. They turn up and want to be part of this, which doesn't mean everything is perfect all the time either, because they're teenagers and it's a process, and sometimes it's a bit of a slow burn. But what we see by the time they get to graduation, is beautifully whole people. And I think that's where a lot of the satisfaction comes from at graduation time.
You touch on 2 great points. I mean, nothing's perfect, and we're all humans. The adults and the children, they all have, issues come up, challenges come up. They're growing, they're interacting with each other. So that's always a reality wherever you go. But if the child, particularly in high school, I think Green School is looking for the student to come alive, the young adult to come alive, to really start taking charge of their own learning experience. And at Green School, you can go to the head of high school or your teacher and say, this isn't working quite well for me. Could I do this? Or I want to really start this project. Can we carve out some time for that? So for self-learners, and hopefully at Green School, you sort of become that way, because that's the life journey, right? You can really take that next step of learning, finding your own journey, finding your own way, with the teachers becoming more coaches and nurturing you rather than just downloading to you. And so I think high school becomes a little bit more of an independent experience as you grow and prepare for post-Green School.
That's great. Thank you, Walker. Thanks so much. Let's talk a little bit about transitions. I noticed there are a couple of questions in here which I'll sort of bundle together, but just about the process of children coming in or out of the school, how we support that transition experience, and then also a sort of sub-question around, can parents, go in and stay with the child for a period of time as they settle in, if they're little ones, I assume.
It's not normally the transition where it's what we do all the time,
We do.
actually. So it's something that, and it's important to consider. But in terms of transition, you've got your different levels. There's help within the community, how a family transitions here in terms of life things, and then transition within the learning community itself. There's always buddy systems for our new students, always sort of starting a little bit slow and light helps, because the learning environment is quite different. The first time on campus, you're quite amazed at everything. The learning program is quite different, and the opportunities within that program are also different as well. So it takes a little bit of time, but transition is what we do. Transition works both ways, though, and it's important to discuss. A lot of people are wondering whether, a 1 or 2 year experience at Green School Bali, and is my child going to be able to reintegrate transition back into schools? And Walker's mentioned that before. We only have positive sort of data from families that have left the school and transitioned out again. I suppose, like I talk about this pedagogical change that's underlying to a new model of learning, and I talked about relationships. Transitioning is just building the new relationships, and so I suppose there is a real focus on us to be able to build and maintain relationships at the start and the end of a Green School Bali experience. That is both with the family and with the learner. But I suppose we're also just on a journey as well, and transitioning somewhere at some place in time. Academically, I think our students, in fact, a true anecdotal story is my 13-year-old son went to New Zealand and got locked into New Zealand, had to go to a normal school for the first time ever. And when he came back, I said, how was, high school in New Zealand? And he was like, maths was so easy. So he transitioned in. His plan now is to stay at Green School for a little bit, so that if he does go back to Australia or New Zealand, that he'll transition there a lot easier, because the academics are quite strong here. So, it's probably something that we could talk about for a long time, but there's so much support. And like I said, we're always helping and transitioning either families or learners into the community. And it depends where you're coming from, what your expectations are, how long you're here, where you're going to live, what grades your kid's in. There's so many factors to it, but we do a good job, and it's a focus of us, because we know we know people move here for Green School Bali.
Yeah, thanks, Sal. I think, we've just had 50 or so new children start just 2 days ago at the beginning of this semester. And on the whole, that transition process looks and feels very fast generally. So the children by the end of the first week here are sort of stomping around like they're right at home, which is nice. But every now and then it does take some time for particular children. And parents, your child the best and how adaptive they are to change. But please know we have a lot of experience and provide a lot of support for the children to transition into the school, but also for the whole family actually to be part of the community, because that's important for us too, the parent experience, not just the children. But when we think about transitions and we're thinking about our children and perhaps coming to Green School for the older children, it is really important for us, and should be for you too, I believe, that the child wants to come here too, because we have had experiences where the parents are very motivated to come and the child actually doesn't want to. He's not ready for that change. He's not open to that. And that can be challenging and difficult. So they're good things to think about. And we do want to share, you know, openly as much as we can to help you with your thinking process. Okay. We're going to jump back to high school again just for a minute and talk about like university entrance and graduation generally, or graduates generally, and also in there like how students are assessed, particularly in high school. So assessment, graduation, university, you know, what happens with the Green School students when they leave Green School?
You can find a fair bit of information, the data on the website, but the majority of our students, all of our high school graduates, if they want to go to university, do go to university. So that's the news. All of the students, if you want to go to university from Green School Bali, they do. Sometimes that pathway is a little bit different. We do know now that universities are starting to look for different types of learners that are coming out of secondary education. You know, high school specifically has such a variety of opportunity in terms of the learning program and their assessment. You can go from someone that wants to do a green projects diploma, that wants to do a passing complete diploma, doesn't get grades at all through the process, or you can go to the other end of the spectrum where I'm helping co-teach an Algebra 2 class this block, and you know, it's set the assessment structure in there is not just focused on an end of unit exam. There is formal assessment within it, but there are project-based assessment things, discussion assessments. You're assessed on how you integrate, collaborate and communicate within your class. There are holistic ways to assess different learners. So there is this scope.
It's a good point, because I think sometimes we as non-educators, as parents, can get a little bit confused, the difference between not having standardized kind of testing versus, and that does not mean that children are not assessed.
Our students will also self-assess as well.
Right?
Yeah, our students will also self-assess as well. There are some really awesome organic different ways that you can use rubrics in assessment things. There are formal assessments, but it's ongoing. It's student-based, it's student-led often. The other part of it is, you know, there are opportunities. If I think even like Walker's child is going, well, I sort of know exactly where I'm wanting to go, and that's great. And there are opportunities to integrate other aspects of a learning program, whether it's formal SAT prep. We can do that. We do have SAT prep classes, some AP classes within the high school, but you may have to actually, to supplement, if you know exactly where you're going and what they require, you may have to do something external to our program as well. And that's okay. We can sort of fit that into our program and the diploma requirements itself. You know, but it's not the Green School's got everything as well. That's important too. You know, we don't have a string quartet.
No.
You know, if you want to be to get a football
play
scholarship,
baseball.
if you want to play
Walker's
baseball,
example, yes.
you're not going to get it
This
here.
is not the right school.
Yeah, but there are so many opportunities to curate a learning journey up until a young adult's age, relative to the needs of the student, the family, their next step. You know, often, I'd like to see students take a little bit more time after school and jumping into university career and nailing themselves down for the next 50 years. So, you know.
Well, if I can just have a crack at kind of summarising here on this one, because we have so many questions still to get to, and I can see that
we're not doing a very good job of answering things quickly, are we?
The clock is ticking, but I think Green School, like any school in the world, can't guarantee your child will go to the first university of their choice, and no school can do that. And we know there are a lot of schools out there that focus very much on that test score result, and that might be a great fit for some children. But our students do need to get their diploma. They do need to earn credits in various subjects. It's a mosaic. They have to pass things. They can get grades in high school. They can get support for sitting particular exams like SATs if that's important to their pathway. So there's some flexibility in there, but we know what we are and what we are not. And so we really do invite particularly high school applicant families to engage with us, and we're really happy to have further conversations like this just on the high school program, for example, so we can dig in a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it captures it well, and I would just add that it's not a funnel. It's not a conveyor belt that you join Green School and then it ends to a destination. It's really you have to own the learning journey, both the child and the family, and so that's exciting because there's so many outcomes you can choose from. But if you want to go to university, well, you could go to university in Australia, Europe, Japan, all over the place, the United States. But since the school can't perfect that journey for every family, the family and the child has to start really engaging and thinking about where they want to go and what they want to do with their life. They want to become a musician, they want to become an artist, they want to become an entrepreneur. And so it's real. And I like that part.
Such a good point.
The parents and the children aren't sitting around going, please, just make it happen for my child. You have to engage and you have to think, and the child does. And I think that's what is exciting about it, because when they're 18, they've thought more deeply about who they are, where they're going, how it's going to work.
So good. Thank you. I think that's fantastic. My son, after he graduated, my eldest, from Green School, and he went off to a university in Australia to study economics, and got 2 years into it, came back to Bali and went free diving here and worked with a reef restoration group that he'd had experience with when he was here at the school. And he came back from that dive trip and he said, why am I doing this? I'm doing marine biology, and switched courses, but I could see seeds were planted here.
He was doing economics because he had an awesome middle school maths teacher.
and we all know, like, this is the journey in life, right? We're all changing jobs,
So
we're all
true.
doing different things.
Yeah.
You need to be prepared for that, not like, somebody telling you this is how it's going to work out for you.
No one's going to come along and ask you what your grade is or test you with a number at the end of it. You're going to be tested by how you collaborate, how you solve problems, adapt, how you communicate, the type of person you are. Yeah, and that's what education's about.
That's great.
Yeah, that's well summed up.
Let's jump right down to the other end,
yeah.
not the other end. Let's talk about early years just for a minute. And I might just have a go at a couple of things here. Just to let you know, in our early years program, which is from 3-year-old to 5-year-old, more or less, there are 3 sort of groups in there, or age grade levels in our early years program. 1 semester is a minimum enrolment period in early years, and that is only for early years. For the rest of the school, 1 year is the minimum enrolment period, except for grade 11 and 12. Our diploma program is a 2-year commitment, and we want to always keep that group tight. So once they lock in at the beginning of grade 11, that is their graduating peer group when they get to the end of grade 12. So that's a 2-year program. And we have 2 intakes per year, semester 1 in August and then semester 2 in January. So there's more information on our admissions page on all of that if you want to check that out. So I just thought I'd grab some of the easy questions.
I thought we were going to talk about the fun, the magic in
Well,
early
we're going to talk a
years.
little bit about early years, and really, I think the question is around how self-directed or otherwise is that program. So are children doing whatever they want? Is it completely open day to day? How do we interpret that play-based approach?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's playful learning in a nature-based environment that has structure in terms of a schedule, not so much in terms of learner outcome at that age. It's very immersive in our local Indonesian Balinese culture. As early year students, they do have a structured curriculum in terms of literacy and numeracy, starting to learn those skills, but it's very much more playful learning. And there are projects in the early years. They do jalan-jalan, so experiential learning, where they learn outside of their campus. Have amazing celebrations within the early years. So it's student-centered as much as possible, but I wouldn't say it's just a free-for-all down there. Sometimes I go down there and it is a free-for-all.
You should have seen the mud play yesterday after that rain. It was
I've got
epic.
some great photos of my students being in their early years. As a parent sitting here right now as a parent, it's probably one of the best things I've ever done as a person was start my children's education at a place like Green School Bali. I never thought I'd put my kid in school at the age of 3. But when I came to Green School and I looked at early years, I was like, it's a magic wonderland.
Yeah.
You know, 2
Now, one
days
thing we
in,
don't do-
Lucia's running through there with hardly any clothes on, covered in mud.
And the early years, I think, is it's really about joy, right?
It is.
Bringing out passion
It is.
and kind of self-discovery and rolling around in the mud and getting, sneaking a little structure in as time goes by. And the Balinese love children. I mean, this is like the most child-centric, friendly place on the planet.
And the early years programs, there's good, solid expat international leadership within there. But it's mostly an Indonesian teaching team that have been at Green School Bali for as long as you, Walker.
Been here 10 plus
Yeah.
years.
It makes it so unique, doesn't it?
It's
It
so
really is a
amazing.
unique program
So
down there.
so loving,
Yeah.
caring, professional, and within a beautiful little campus on their own, within our own campus. So we keep them safe. That's
Yeah.
important to know. But it's about joy, I suppose, at that age.
I always say if I'm not having a really great day, go down, take myself down and watch the 3-year-olds doing yoga in our yoga studio. You cannot not feel good. It's just beautiful.
I do a duty down there. I put a duty, an early duty, just
yeah.
to give myself some joy.
It's not really a duty.
No. I go down there and play the guitar and sing with them for half an hour.
One thing we
Someone's gotta
don't
do
do in early years is have the parents stay down there with the children all day. So we have a pretty nice drop-off and handover and pick-up process, which really we feel works best for the children, and our educators also feel is best for the children. And so we're really guided by our education team there, and that can be a little tricky in the first few days, but we trust our educators. That they know what they're doing there, and that we ask the parents to work with our educators on that process. So we know you know your child better than anyone else, and we want to understand them and understand what's important for you in those early days. But we also feel that we have a really good, gentle, nice process to have children settle into the class and feel safe and secure in their new environment. And then the joy, the learning, all of that can happen. Just going to jump to a question about for families for whom English might not be their first language and have children that may not easily be able to transition into a school that does instruct in English as the main language here. We have a program called Green School English, which runs parallel to the school program. It's running now this semester. We have some places open in there. We'll also be running that in the June, July, August sort of period, a holiday program pre the start of the school year for children who need some extra support before starting at Green School. And then we have some support in some parts of the school for students who need some English language learning support during the day, the normal day at school. But that Green School English Camp program is exactly for children who need that more intensive English language instruction before they start. But it's a really fun program actually, because it is immersive English language, but in the jungle, with some science in there, some maths in there, and a lot of adventure in there as well. So I'm sure a link is going into the chat if it's not already there on Green School English. All right. Let's talk a little. I want to share some numbers with people because I think they're interested in how many people in the school, how many nationalities, how we're structured, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But let's just jump to the not so fun piece to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about COVID and our protocols here. So we just want to let people know that we do have some protocols in the school, some of which we've put in place by policy ourselves and some of which have been set down by Indonesian authorities. Sal, do you want to speak to that just quickly?
Yeah, well, not wearing it now, it's really nice not to be wearing a mask now, but it's still in Indonesia, everyone's required, not just at school, everywhere to be wearing a mask. So the students are wearing masks, we were wearing masks around campus. It's not 8 hours of masks on. There are a lot of times that our learners aren't wearing masks, so that's one of them. We've got temperature checking, we've got a bit of a little different entrance procedure. We have some COVID policy and protocol in terms of, infection, contact tracing, close contact. I suppose we're back to mixing a little bit more. Before we were sort of learning in sort of isolated pods, even when we're on campus together. But we're mixing a little bit more.
So I think like any community, any school, any organisation anywhere in the world, we have our policies and procedures. We've been really, really fortunate over the past 12 months. In particular, we've had very little by way of actual interruption to on-site learning, certainly not across the whole school. But occasionally we've had situations where we might have a COVID positive person and some of them and some close contacts that might need to stay out. Yeah. But we've actually just relaxed our close contact policy a little bit in line with the CDC and WHO regulations.
Still here, it's
or
still
advice.
Part of it, but we've managed through it quite well for 2.5 years and been quite lucky.
at Green School Bali and on this campus to be able to open.
And I think most of us generally, just from a family, personal perspective, Walker, I don't know about your view, but have probably felt incredibly grateful to be here in this part of the world at this point in time.
So grateful. It's easier when you live in this natural environment, and Bali's been kind of a very magical, fortunate place to be during COVID.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've been lucky.
Locked into
Very
paradise.
Locked
Locked in paradise.
Locked in paradise.
Looking at the nature out our back door.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
What a hard life.
Okay, thanks so much. So just want to grab a few sort of fun fact kind of questions. So how many students do we have in the school right now?
340, 50, nah, come on. I don't know, it's changing.
We
It
have
changes
around
every day.
360
Wow.
right now, 360 this
that's
semester.
the last semester's number.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
yeah. So we've had some new families join us. And you might have
This
seen
is-
in that package,
I didn't
Fabrice.
know I was going to get tested. today.
Fabrice, I've got a few more questions for
Oh,
you.
no.
See how you go.
I'm out of here.
We're not big on tests at Green School, but I'll give you a score at the end. So
Yeah, right,
we'll see
okay.
how we go. But we have, we have some support for families on getting into Bali and the travel piece. So there are some advisory services families can tap into, which I think just takes a little bit of the stress out of it. But we can get people visas and we can help them get to Bali, and we have a whole program to support families to get prepared and to start to get onboarded, as well as orientation and our soft landing program that runs for the first month or so that a family is here at the school. All right, Walker, I'm going to do a quick quiz. How many learning neighbourhoods do we have at Green School?
Ooh, I'm thinking 4.
4, and their names are? You know them all, I think.
Early years, middle school, high school, primary, I guess.
That's it.
And no, that was a trick question. There is also the Parent Learning Neighbourhood.
Oh.
Yes. Our Green School English Learning Neighbourhood. The Cool Connection, which is our local students that are not a part of Green School Bali that come in.
Can I
We
just get a
call them.
pass?
You get a pass. Yeah, you get a pass.
I think that was a bit of a quick
That was
trick
a
question.
trick question.
Yep. But at central, the central program does have those 4 learning neighbourhoods, as Walker mentioned. So early years, primary, middle, and high school, and our enrolment process is via Open Apply, and it's the same. Well, it's not quite the same, but you tap into it via the website, and we have a little clip at the end just to walk you through what an enrolment process looks like. So for those of you that have specific questions about that, we will cover that off at the end. But I do want to shout out that we are very focused right now on our August 2022 enrollment. So anybody interested, we're encouraging them, please get an application in the pipeline, because that triggers more conversations and information going to families to help families make a decision and help us make our selections for next school year as well. We're quite full right now, and we do have some wait lists in most classes. We would have a few wait lists, except maybe there's 2 classes. Grade 3, I think, has some space. There's a couple in there. But we will have some families that we'll say goodbye to at the end of the school year, which brings me to the next question. So year on year, we would have between 80 to 85, 87% of our families will stay year on year. So we would have some turnover in there, some families that do leave us, which opens up some space for new families to come. And we'll also add a little bit of growth, I think, for next school year, Sal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep.
In terms of the diversity of our student body, I think right now we have about 40 different nationalities in the school. So coming from all corners of the globe. Indonesian students make up our 3rd biggest group by nationality. So that was a question in there, which I wanted to share. And the majority of those are Balinese children on scholarship. So we have a very, very beautiful scholar program here at Green School for Balinese children. Right across the school, most grade levels have some scholars in there. Alrighty.
Got a good one?
Yes. Okay, this might be one for you, Walker. Just in terms of parents, Leanne has helpfully sort of bundled together some questions that are in a similar theme. Okay. Just thinking about our parents and when families come, what do parents do when they come to Bali?
It's a great question. I actually had a parent ask me years ago, just like, where can I get a job? And I was like, it's not really jobs here. It's not the place to. It's not really the place to come and say, where can I get this? It's the place to come to say, what can I do? What can I make happen? What can I create? It is a foreign country. It's not your country. It's not. things don't operate like you would expect back home, as far as like you just don't go out and apply for a job necessarily. So I think the transition question is also interesting because coming here takes energy. Everything's new. Where you make your coffee, how you get to school. Until you get used to the system, any move overseas just takes a kind of extra energy that you maybe didn't expect to expend on your daily day. And then you have to decide what to do with yourself, particularly the parents. It's one of the more interesting places in the world. I mean, there's business people, there's entrepreneurs, there's digital nomads, there's yoga people, there's health people. I mean, everybody's on their own journey. So it's really about finding your own journey is really what it's about. So that's true for the parents and the students.
That's really nice, Walker. And I think you're a great example of, a Green School parent that sort of is present and has a wealth of knowledge on living in Bali. And I think you saw in those pre-recorded pieces where we were talking to some new parents, I mean, it constantly blows my mind on some of these school WhatsApp groups. Someone asks, where can I get this? Who could help me with this? And there's always an answer. It's just something else, that font of wisdom and knowledge, but also openness.
The openness, I say, very unique. I think it's one of the more welcoming communities, once again, the Balinese, the Indonesians, and then the foreigners. I mean, it's probably one of the friendlier, easier places you could ever make a transition to. Nobody, you don't get that feeling like, oh, the old people don't want to talk to the new people or something. Yeah, everybody wants to help each other, and then you somewhat break out into your groups. Like you might be in the yoga group, or you might be hanging out with a bunch of entrepreneurs. It's a fascinating community that's very open and easy to transition in if you want to.
Yes.
As you mentioned earlier, I remember there's a family that came a number of years ago from New York, and they really wanted a different educational experience for their kids, and it worked out well. One child had a lot of friends in New York, and so that child didn't transition as well because missed all their friends. It wasn't the catalyst for coming. But it was fine because the child had friends and it was okay. And it was like they were here for 2 or 3 years. The other children did not have as many friends. They were more the reason to come, to kind of get them out of their shell, to be a little bit more of an organic, natural family learning experience. And they blossomed. They just took off. So, everybody comes with their own background and transitions a little differently. But you won't find a more open, welcoming community than.
It's so true. And, it's been part of the history of the school. I think that sense of community and spirit. Totally. And Green School's had its moments, but there's something very, very enduring about the Green School spirit that has just overcome different things over the years, including the pandemic. It has a life force all of its own, and it is something else. But we do, I mean, it's kind of naturally just developed the values that are in the school, the way we welcome people, the spirit of the community. But we also do intentionally sort of nourish that too. So we have a co-working space right here on the campus called The Bridge, and we have parent programs, which is everything from fitness and bike riding and yoga to business incubating sessions, to talks and workshops, opportunities to volunteer, and so much more. And that's really built with the parents, for the parents. So we also invite parents to come and contribute something, share something with the community, mentor a student, give a talk. Everybody's sort of got something to offer, I think. And then things like our events and Green School Spirit Fridays, which I know I usually see you at, Walker.
Yeah, I like those Friday afternoons.
A little mini festival.
Yeah, little festivals. I don't think this can be overemphasized. I mean, most people in the world today live in this sort of segmented world where the kids go to school, parents go to work, parents do something else, and it's very segmented. And here, the emphasis on the community. Everybody's kind of involved in these different things. We're meeting each other. The kids are hanging out with the adults are hanging out with the kids. The parents are at school learning. And I think you can't overemphasize that your community, your family, and the school raises your child. Strangely, I think some people want to feel that's completely the responsibility of the schools. And I think the magic is the three. You want a healthy community, you want a healthy family life, and you want a healthy school. And if you can get those three reinforcing each other, wow, it's really good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Perfect.
So good. Sal, quick question on learning support. We know through the enrolment process, it's really important for us to understand as best we can each child, each applicant family, and to understand the strengths and the needs of children individually as they come in. And we consider that in the context of what we know about the learning environment and what that can offer to a child, but also how that can be challenging for a child. And also we sort of line that up or consider that against the specialist support we might have in the school and how that's being utilised at any point in time and what capacity there is in there to support individual children who may have additional student needs.
Yeah, let me start saying that we're all unique learners and we all have our gifts and we all have our challenges. I think importantly to sort of when you're talking learning support, it's important for us to front load information. There is structured learning support mostly within our lower school, within our primary and early years. There is less structured learning support through middle school and into high school. It's most important through the admissions process, like Kate said, is to be sort of open and honest and active out there. We want a wide variety of learners within our community. We're not looking for the learner in a box. But that said, it's to be open. Some learning support. There are some families that come in with learning support challenges and think that Green School Bali is a place that's going to remove those challenges or solve the problem. That's not really the case at all. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. This is a really open campus. This is a very noisy place to learn. It does involve that student engagement and student focus. So it's learning support at the school, mostly in the middle, in the lower school, the primary and the early years. It does get lighter in our middle school and high school, but it's really I think it's important just to start the conversation with the admissions team about learning support components or factors important to your child's learning, and then we discuss those as well. So.
Yeah, and I think, Walker, you made some good observations. Like me, you're not an educator, but you see things here at the school too and have been here for many, many years. And, you mentioned before how stimulating the environment is, the sounds, the sights, but also the structure of the program and the fact that there is some fluidity in there. And we do like to grab opportunities. So for children that maybe do work really well with a lot of structure and a tight kind of routine to things, to the order of things, and perhaps a slightly less stimulating environment, this might not be the right place for them. So you've observed some of those things yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Some children just are really hungry for a focused academic experience that's my brother, for instance, likes to sit in an office for 8 hours and be very, very focused and undisturbed. I'm the complete opposite.
Can't believe you're related.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. So, everybody just has their own way of like the environment they want to work in, how they want to be taught, how they want to learn. So it just needs to be a good match. And for some, So I think it's very careful to, as you say, be really open with how your child is experiencing their life so far, and trying to figure out whether this would really be the right match or not, because it's a self journey. At the end of the day, I think Green School works best for kids that gradually find out who they are, what they want to be, and can navigate that more and more on their own.
It works the other way as well. I know we've sort of time limited a little bit. It works the other way. When you design a learning program or learning experience that are student-centered, that allows students to follow their passion, where you're able to communicate learning in different ways, whether it's verbal, visual, video, experiential, where students are able to do something with their learning, then you're actually teaching in a way that's learning support focused anyway. And, if you can go to your professional development as an educator and do training on teaching for dyslexia, for example, they all just talk about good teaching strategies that we use here that are, allowing a student to find their passion and dive into it because that's what they like, or providing different ways for students to demonstrate their learning. So it's not just one size fits all. And a lot of the practices that we do, that we practice here in our teaching and learning program, are really good sort of learning support focus anyway.
Yeah.
So there's some structured learning support here, but the program itself, the pedagogy and the way that we bring the learning experiences to life allows for different learners to engage in it.
Okay. May I just add, correct me if I'm wrong, Sal, but I see the teachers more like coaches than teachers, right? So from a learning support, kind of like a broader idea, is they're there to sort of help every child in that unique child's journey. And so what I love, and what I sort of keep on reminding my daughter and her friends is, if they're not happy with like how they're learning, or they want to learn more, or they want to have another angle, go to the teacher. Yeah. You know, have a conversation with the teacher, have the conversation with the head of the school. Take charge of expressing how it would work better for yourself and your learning. And, you know, that's, I think the whole thing is that's what you want your child to do. Yeah. And as you go towards high school, I think they do that better because they're more mature. And that to me is
for sure.
Just
you know,
fantastic.
Walker, I haven't shared this with you yet, but we did a survey of past graduates. You know, we've had 8 graduating classes, I think, out of high school. And we did a survey and we asked a lot of questions about what they're doing and where they are in the world, but we also asked a lot of questions about how they are in the world. And it's so interesting. I look forward to sharing some of that. And we dug into things like to the extent to which they felt like they were doing something purposeful and so on. Great questions. We want to change that conversation a little bit about what the metrics of a good high school are. But what I wanted to share was one of the questions I asked that was, the responses were 100% in agreement, was a statement that I felt seen and supported as an individual in my time at Green School. 100%.
Right. Yeah,
and that's what we need to know, and we need to stick to that because.
Yeah. I mean, also we could always go back to the classic. I think the magic of Green School is the teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, the bamboo's great. I mean, it's the easiest thing, you know, like, wow, look at this campus, it's green, it's bamboo, it's fantastic. There's no question that's the package that makes it exciting. But the individual interaction with the teacher, between the student and the teacher, I think is what has been the best part of my daughter's journey.
It's fantastic. All right, we're going to grab a couple more questions that have been sitting here for a little while, and then we do need to wrap up. We have a little video for you, very brief, that just explains the application process, because that's an important just piece of data for you to have, and then we're going to come back and say goodbye. But before we do that, I just wanted to grab these last 2 questions. Here we are, Sal. Are we expanding to Australia anytime soon? Quick answer.
I wish. No, no, not in the immediate future.
Not in the immediate future. Yeah. But we're excited to see network of Green School.
And Green School Bali is a part. It's
yes.
You can find it out. You can find it on the website. It's part of a global network. There's other Green Schools, Green School New Zealand, South Africa. We're also part of the Education in Motion network as well. So we are growing. We are looking globally and looking at how we can have impact and have Green Schools around the world. But watch this space.
So Luke, who asked the question, just come on over here for the time being. And just one more question, which is just around class placement. And this is from a parent who has said their children have been learning in a virtual way for an extended period and just a bit concerned that maybe they're not still at the grade level that they were at. And my take on that from an admissions perspective is, for us, it's most important that the child is in their right age cohort from a social emotional kind of perspective, so that they can feel safe, comfortable, develop friendships, a relationship with the teacher, and then the learning kind of goes from there.
We're not worried about students falling behind through the pandemic and disruption to learning. We're not worried about that at all. No, won't be a problem.
But that would be part of the enrollment process too, to engage and dig into that individually. So I'm going to allow you to share any sort of closing thoughts before we go to this video, and I'm going to do a quick scroll back through here to make sure we haven't missed anything vital. Closing sentence.
Always excited to be here and to talk about this amazing community, this amazing school with new people. I encourage you to get onto the website, dive into our curriculum documentation, dive into my blogs to get a better understanding, and to be open and to start thinking about Green School Bali as part of your life and your family's journey. Thanks for your time today.
Fantastic. And Walker?
I just think that if you're intellectually curious, life curious, it's an incredible destination. The goal is really joyous, happy, dynamic kids. And if that's your goal, I think it works very well. If the family, if everybody's flexible and open, it is, on the one hand, it's a paradise. It's environmentally sensitive. It's incredible. I will mention, it's not perfect, right? So it's not perfect paradise, and everybody has their different take on what like environmental means. So that's always kind of funny. People come sometimes with expectations too high. So it's a very special place, but it's a match, and if you can make the match, it's fantastic. I've been here for a long time, and I think it's still one of the most special places in the world.
That is brilliant. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to say goodbye to everyone, but we just have a little piece of information for you on the admissions process, which we would love you to take a quick look at. Then we're going to be back here to say goodbye. But also, I just want to do a shout out because we are lifelong learners, all of us here, and the school, not just the students. And we have a survey for you, which we would love you to fill out. If you can, it's super, super quick. And we would love to have those responses, wouldn't we?
Thank
so
you.
we can see what we can do, what we can do better for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could grab the link and fill out the survey, that would be brilliant. And if you could just put your eyes and ears on this next little bit, and we will see you in 1 minute.
Hi, my name's Leanne. I'm the Director of Communications and Community Centre at Green School Bali. I'm also a parent here for the last 8 years. My daughter's in grade 5. I'm here to support families all the way through our admissions process to join us and settle in here at our school. Today, I'll be taking you through our admissions process and helping you navigate through the steps to enrol your children here at Green School Bali. Here's a step-by-step guide to joining us here at Green School Bali, and you can meet some of the friendly faces to guide you. Step 1, get to know us, get to know our learning programme. We encourage all families to get to know us more and see if we're the right fit school for your family. Explore our website, read through the admissions and learning programme pages in particular, watch videos about our unique learning programme and experiences. Really dig deep into what the Green School Way is. These videos share more in-depth information all about our learning programme, projects, all the way from early years, primary, middle school, up to high school. A must-read on our website is the article, Is Green School Right for You? All links can be found on the website here. We are an inclusive school, but we really look for students and families who want to make a change in the world, whatever their background. Here are some things we like to see in potential families. A passion for progressive education that blends the learning of knowledge with the mastery of skills and the nurturing of values. Curiosity and motivation as learners with a love and interest in the natural world. An active commitment to learning, particularly for our older students who need to be responsible and motivated to take advantage of the opportunities available to them at Green School. A desire to be part of a community including respect for others, respect for Bali, and the honouring of our educators as professionals and experts. A genuine readiness to make personal changes to help make our world sustainable. Step 2, submit your application. Submit your application and open apply with us for review. To start your application, visit our website here and click Apply Now. Starting an application does not mean you need to commit to joining us, and every application is individually reviewed. But this step means that we can really get the conversation going and get to know each other. With an application in process, we can offer virtual events and send you information every step of the way so you know what's going on at the school, and you can get to meet some of our team here in the community centre who support new families like you from application to settling into the community. We will support at each step of the process and ask that you submit all relevant documents for our educators to review as you move through the process. We love getting to know each family along the way and to help you and us find the best fit for your child. Not quite ready to make the leap now? No problem. Click Inquire Now on our website to create a registration of interest on our Open Apply system, and we will keep in touch with you with our admissions newsletter. It is quite common for there to be wait lists for enrolment spaces at Green School Bali, as we have a fixed maximum and maintain a low teacher to student ratio. So the sooner a family gets their application started, the better. Once your application has been submitted, you will have access to a suite of communication touchpoints to help guide you all the way to getting here to Green School Bali. From monthly virtual calls, newsletters, a closed Facebook group where you can connect with new and current families, and we even have a dedicated New Families microsite packed with resources, information and useful tips and guides to support you in your journey to join us here at school. Step 3, application review. Your application is then reviewed by our educators and our admissions team. We have an intricate and an in-depth review process. We want every Green School child to thrive, So really take care in reviewing all applications to make sure Green School is the right school for them. Our team will be in touch with you if and when your application is successful. We love sending those good news emails. That's the 3 key steps to submitting your application with us here at Green School Bali. For any questions and queries related to the admissions process, please review the admissions page on our website at the link here. And please don't hesitate to contact us at admissions@greenschool.org. We wish you all the best and we can't wait to welcome you here.
Well, thanks so much for watching that. A little bit more Leanne is always good in everyone's lives. We're just wrapping up now and we're back to really say our goodbyes and our thanks to you for joining this session and for staying on this session, because I know we've gone over time, which we always do actually, Sal, and I was absolutely certain we would do with you here, Walker, as well, because all 3 of us love a chat. So that was almost inevitable. But we do want to say thanks so much. Please do check out the website, do some exploration, do some reading, do some watching. Think deeply about Green School, about your own child, about your own family. You heard some great pearls of wisdom from Walker on the kind of family perspective and that sense of adventure that maybe is needed to really make the most out of this experience, and from Sal on the program and how we support children to transition in. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us. Sal, would you like to shout out?
Thank you very much. Thanks
give
very
some
much
gratitude?
for being here today. Yeah, and maybe we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Sal. I know you are a busy person, so thank you for giving us so much time.
I'm late to something.
You are late to something. He needs to exit.
Okay.
And Walker, always fun to sit down and have a chat with you.
Always fun to talk about Green School. It's a passion.
It's a passion. Well, thanks so much for giving your time and your insights to everyone.
Happy to.
Okay. Thanks very much, everyone. And to all our crew there behind the camera, thank you. Great job again.
Thanks a lot,
As
everyone.
usual, you're
Have a
heroes.
great day. See you
Okay,
soon.
have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.